So today's video, we're going to be typing that demand letter for our personnel records to our ex-employer. I said in the last video that I was going to show you how to do it in Word, but I thought we should just do it in WordPad because not everyone has Word. So let's pull up WordPad here. So we're going to need a tab in the center of the page. So this page is 6.5 inches wide, so we need a tab stop at about 3 1/4. So I'm going to click, just left click right here. That's going to create a tab. And I also want to change the line spacings here, because I want to do the line formatting myself. So I'm going to change it to 1.0, and then also get rid of the add 10-point space after paragraph. So we're starting this with our home address. So it's your address without your name on top, basically. So I'm going to put 123 Main Street. We live downtown, apparently. And the next line, any town, California. Probably starts with a 9. And then we want a blank line, and then this is where we're putting the date, and we're going to spell out the month. All right, and then another blank line. And because we're going to email this to the HR department and send it by regular mail, we're going to go ahead and put via email and US mail at the top. It just gives them the heads up that, you know, we sent it multiple ways, so don't pretend like you didn't get it. Alright, so then you want another blank line, and then we put the name of the company, which is My Last Employer, Inc. And then you can put the address of the place where you were working here, or you can find their registered agent and mail it there if you want to look at my video on how to look that up. Or you could send it to both. But minimally, I recommend sending it to the office place where you actually worked, and especially if you know the HR people are there, because it's typically going to get to them faster than sending it to the registered agent. So I'm just going to, well, I guess they live across the street from me. That was convenient. It's going to suck finding another employer that's not as close. Right. So after that, after their address, we want to put the attention line. So this is like in their mailroom when they open it up, they see who to route this mail to. I'm going to put human resources. And then after that goes our salutation. And then a blank line, and then subject. And sometimes I forget what order these go in, but if you do forget, just remember their alphabetical order, right? A, and then D, and then S. The subject line goes after the salutation. So this helps once it gets to the human resources person. They can look at the line and see what it's regarding without having to read the rest of the letter. They can put it in. They can prioritize it properly, given what it is regarding. So I'm going to put request for not just personnel, complete personnel records for my name, which is going to be John Doe. All right, so then we're putting so this letter is my written just kind of verbalizing our requirement to put it in writing. And it doesn't, add any actual legal weight, because you can, just because we're saying we're following the statute doesn't mean we're following the statute. So this letter is my written request for my employment records. Maintained by my last employer, Inc., its subsidiaries, and contracted providers. So the subsidiaries is because, you might work for a smaller subsidiary of the main company, and then the contracted providers is they might be outsourcing their human resources even to a third party. So you don't really want them to say, well, we don't maintain those records. One of our vendors does. So you kind of don't want to give them that. Even though it'd be ignorant of them to do that, you kind of want to not allow them by educating them. And then, so I'm just going to lay out what we're asking for. Right. And then anytime you ask for something from someone, you typically want to put it in a numbered bulleted list. That way, it's better. It's easier for them to go through the checklist and make sure that they included all of the items. So then we're going to start by asking for, as I mentioned in my previous video, basically any records regarding my performance or any grievances. Basically the stuff that caused me to be terminated. So that's under Labor Code section. So I'm typing section here because I'm on my home computer, which doesn't have a number keypad. I prefer using the section symbol, which is, you can get that on Windows by holding down Alt, and then you press 0167 and then let go of Alt. So if you're not familiar with those, every time you type one of those, you type in a 4-digit number and then let go of Alt. And because the code for that is 167, we add a 0 in front of it. The other way to get to that, of course, is using your character mat. So let me open that up. So you want to make sure that when you open your character map app, that the font is the same as the one that that's chosen up here, just to make sure you're using the right character map. Oh, it looks like I've done this before. So it's already in here, but you select the character, and then you hit select, and then what's this advanced view? I don't know. All right, and then copy. So I'm going to get rid of this. All right, so I don't know why this happens sometimes. When you copy characters, it adds weird other spaces before and after it. So I'm just going to copy it from here and then do undo. Do 1198.5. So all records maintained that relate to my performance or any grievance concerning me. And then we're going to give them some examples, because a lot of times they're going to read this just because they don't know the law or what they're required to do. They'll read this as I'm in a folder with John Doe's name on it, and whatever's in there is what I have to provide a copy of. And they're going to deny that they even have such a thing, possibly. So what we're going to lay out is some examples of what they're expected to provide. So please include emails, Slack messages, or if you use Microsoft Teams, put there, then there. Even if you use Microsoft Teams and Slack messages, I mean, we're really only providing examples, so you don't need to list everything. And if you had a performance review, you probably want to put that here too. And just to remind them, right, that you did have a performance review there, because they might think that you didn't have one while you're working there. And any other written communications. So if it's in writing, they have to provide it if it's regarding your performance or any grievance. So the next thing we're going to ask for is anything that you signed while you're working there, they have to provide you a copy of. So that's labor code section 432. Any instrument signed by me relating to the obtaining or holding of employment. Obtaining? That should be obtainment. Or holding of employment. So we want to make sure and spell out that they include an offer letter and employee handbook. So it could be argued that you're presenting a weak case, possibly indicating that you don't have an offer letter. But it could also be argued that you're saying, I know I have a copy of the offer letter. Do you even have a copy of it? Because if you don't, and I have the only copy, you're kind of screwed. So I list it just because we want to make sure that they don't forget those important documents. So the last thing we're going to ask for is the pay records, which is basically all the pay stubs. And that's section 226, subsection B. We'll do any and all payroll records. All right. So then we want a blank line. And because they can charge you for this, we don't want to have that delay the process. Like they might say, we have your documents ready, it's going to cost X, right? Because you don't have to pay to get your documents. They can bill you for them, but you don't have to pay in advance. So we're going to say, please include an invoice, not an invoice, for any costs of providing these documents. And please mail them immediately, but no later than 21 days from the date of this request to the above address. All right, so then another blank line, and then want to tab in and do sincerely. And we want 2 blank lines here because we need room for our signature. So it's 1, 2, third line. And we'll do John Doe. And then so they can contact us if they have any questions. We're going to put our phone number here. And then under there, this is the fun part. So this is where we say, we also send it to your resident agent if you can do that. Or another cool thing is you mentioned that you send it to your provider law firm. So one thing I recommend if you don't have an attorney is to go ahead and go to LegalShield.com. This isn't a paid ad. I'm not paying me. Not sponsor me in any way. And it's basically, I think, $25 a month. Maybe it's $29. I don't know. It's between $25 and $30. And what they do is anytime a legal issue pops up, they provide unlimited consultations. You can talk as long as you want, and they'll have an attorney and that is an expert in the subject matter of the incident or that you have. They'll actually give you a case number too, and then also for that each incident they will send one for free, one nasty legal letter, or make one nasty legal phone call for you. I think after that you have to pay additional. Some other cool stuff that they offer is traffic citations are they defend you against those for completely free, and they appear on your behalf, so you don't have to do anything. Right, you just call them up, open the case, send them a copy of the ticket, and they will either negotiate it down to a non-moving violation, or if they can, right, just completely win in court, so you don't have to do anything. They also prepare wills and trusts and some other stuff. And if you're ever sued, they provide a certain number of defense hours for free, and then the number of defense hours you have goes up every year you're a member. So I've been a member for so long that pretty much if you sue me, I'm covered. So even if you're an attorney, I recommend this because you don't want to represent yourself. I mean, I do, but if I'm sued, I'm not going to have to. So the provider law firm, if you're a Legal Shield member in California, is Parker Stanberry LLC. And when they see that, they know you mean business. So now this is pretty much ready to be printed out, but I like to center it on the page. So I'm going to add a couple spaces at the top. So you want your top and bottom margins to be pretty equal. So you print it out, sign above your name, right? Fold it three ways and mail it to this address. Mail it to their resident agent. Send a copy with your case number to Parker Stanberry. And then what I would also do is call up the HR and let them know that it's on its way, and ask them if there's a way that they prefer to receive it as well. That might speed up the process. So that wraps up this video. The next video is probably going to be what to do after this, like how to negotiate the severance package, how to get it bigger than what they initially offered. So if you have any ideas for videos that you want me to make, go ahead and leave a comment, and I will look at them. Thanks, bye.